Hello, we are the social media and body image group. Our members are Rose Martinez, Elizabeth Miranda, and Madisyn Peterson. And this is our presentation.
Hello, my name is Rose, and the article I chose is Beauty, Ethnicity, and Age. Does internalization of mainstream media ideals influence attitudes towards older adults? The use of cosmetic surgery and anti-aging products are good indicators that North American society strives to remain youthful. In 2010 alone, individuals spend approximately $10 billion on cosmetic procedures, almost all of which are aimed at making a person look younger. In our textbook, Our Bodies, Ourselves, nearly 200,000 cosmetic plastic surgery procedures were performed on people aged 13 to 19 in 2009, including 35,000 nose reshapings and 8,000 breast augmentations, the most popular types of surgical procedures. Um, Charisse Pampenko, a Filipina teenage singing phenomenon, publicly admitted getting a skin tightening treatment and Botox injections before her guest appearance on the television show Glee. She says she wanted to look fresh for the cameras. Whether we're watching TV, surfing online, or playing video games, idealizing young, thin female imagery is everywhere. The overall purpose of the study was to examine whether internalization of mainstream North American media that idealize thinness and youth is related to more negative views of older adults in a sample of ethnically diverse college women. Total of 281 women volunteers who attended a large U.S. university. Age of the participants ranged from 18 to 30 years old. There's 115 European American Caucasian, 74 Asian American / Pacific Islander, 50 Hispanic Latinas, and 42 African American women that volunteered. The method used to measure the internalization of sociocultural ideals of appearance was an 8-item general internalization subscale of the sociocultural attitudes towards appearance questionnaire. This questionnaire had questions like photographs of thin women / men make me wish that I were thin. And in our society, people who do not look young are considered unattractive. And the items were scored on a 5-point scale ranging from completely disagree to completely agree, with higher scores reflecting higher levels of internalization. And methods used to measure attitudes towards the elderly was the Krogan's attitude towards old people scale. This one consisted of 34 items organized as 17 paired statements. Each pair contained a positive statement, like it would probably be better if most old people live in residential units that also houses younger people, and a negative statement, like it would probably be better if old people lived in residential units with people of their own age. And the statements were presented in random order, and items were scored on a 6-point scale ranging from strongly disagree to strongly agree. Higher scores were associated with negative attitudes towards older adults. Researchers have found that ongoing exposure to certain ideas can shape and distort our perceptions of reality. The continued objectification of women's bodies prompts many of us to objectify ourselves, meaning we internalize the cultural expectations that assert our bodies exist only for the pleasure of others. The first hypothesis was European American women would report significantly higher levels of internalization of North American appearance ideals and less positive attitudes toward older adults than women of ethnically minority groups. Second hypothesis was internalization would predict more negative attitudes towards older adults for all women. And third is internalization, ethnicity interaction would emerge, indicating that the relationship would be stronger for European American than for African American, Asian American, Pacific Islander, and Hispanic. Okay, and the results. African American women reported significantly less internalization of thin and attractive ideals of appearance portrayed by media compared to European American, Hispanic, Latina, Asian, Pacific Islander women. And contrary to the hypothesis, no ethnic differences emerged with regards to attitudes towards aging, and increased internalization of North American.
Hi, Hi, my name is Madisyn Peterson. The journal article I found was Picture Perfect: The Direct Effect of Manipulated Instagram Photos on Body Image in Adolescent Girls. I chose this article since Instagram is a very popular social media platform at the moment, and many teen girls access this daily. Unfortunately, many young girls don't realize that these photos depicting perfectly proportioned women have been retouched with computer technology. The authors of the study found that not only are girls influenced by media imaging, but when the images were of their peers, there were higher levels of comparison. It makes sense that a young girl would be more likely to want to compare herself to someone she knows in her age group. In the next slide, I'll discuss what the study was hoping to find. Going into what the study was hoping to find, they wanted to see what the effects of manipulated, also known as retouched, Instagram photos does to an adolescent's body image ideals. The authors of this study chose to focus specifically on Instagram because they noticed it has received little academic attention. Some research has shown that users of social media platforms manipulate their appearances in posted pictures, and this has been found to be very prevalent amongst young girls, such as using filters. Multiple research findings displayed that exposure to the thin ideal for a woman leads to a negative body image. The negative contrast theory is used to explain this phenomenon. It is as follows. Women experience a contrast between themselves and the thin, idealized models, and that then leads to lower body satisfaction. There is about 80 million uploads a day on Instagram, so it's no wonder why women compare themselves daily to these perfectly looking models. Moving on to who the participants were in this study, there were a total of 144 girls chosen from secondary schools, otherwise known as middle schools, in the Netherlands. The type of sampling to choose the participants was snowball sampling. This is when the potential participants have been identified, and then you then ask those volunteers to recruit other people they know who may be interested in the study. The study had two hypotheses they wanted to test, which I listed here on the slide. The first one was exposure to manipulated Instagram photos leads to lower body satisfaction in adolescent girls than exposure to original photos. The second was the negative effect of exposure to manipulated Instagram photos compared to original Instagram photos on body satisfaction is stronger for girls with higher social comparison tendency. In conclusion, the study found that some girls were truly unable to detect any retouching of images. This isn't good because, we need to make sure that these children understand that these people aren't perfect like they look like they are. Lastly, I'll talk a bit about an article we had as a reading for week 11, which is Navigating Public Spaces by author Samantha Kwan. She discusses the issues amongst women with body image. Both articles found that mass media has a strong influence on women's perceived ideal body image. Kwan states that women feel the need to self-correct their bodies according to the imaging they are exposed to. Self-correcting could be losing weight according to how a woman looks, getting liposuction, getting surgery, plastic surgery, and it was more prevalent for white and Hispanic women compared to African American women in the study. In conclusion, this study found that body dissatisfaction is prevalent among women, but will be different for people
of specific groups, such as race, gender, etc.
My name is Elizabeth Miranda, and my article was Comparative Effects of Facebook and Conventional Media on Body Image Dissatisfaction. This article had two different hypotheses. The first one was relationship of appearance comparison and change in body image dissatisfaction would be stronger in Facebook users than ones exposed to conventional media. The second hypothesis was the more Facebook is used, the higher baseline body image dissatisfaction would be. So the participant of these studies, they originally started with 200, but because certain women in the study didn't either finish their questionnaire or somehow something fell through, they withdrew. They ended up with 193 women as participants, and they were first year university female undergrad students. They range between the ages of 17 to 46. Of these women, 47.4% were Caucasian, 35.8% were Asian, 3.7% were Middle Eastern, 0.5% were Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander, 0.5% African, 12.1% were considered other, and 95% of these participants did have an active Facebook account. Next is the purpose of this article and its findings. So, the purpose of this article was to see if the relationship between body image dissatisfaction and appearance comparison was the same for Facebook media images versus conventional media images. And what this study ended up finding was that Facebook use did cause body image dissatisfaction, and the more a woman used Facebook, the more her body image dissatisfaction grew. Also, not only did it cause body image dissatisfaction, but it predicted higher eating disorder risk because of the thin ideal. Appearance comparison caused more body image dissatisfaction for Facebook users than those exposed to conventional media. So basically, the hypothesis that they gave in the beginning that I stated, they were right. And that's what they ended up finding with their study. So, this article concludes that more literature on body image dissatisfaction needs to occur and emerge because social media formats are growing just as rapidly along with their users. Also, appearance comparison fueled by the thin ideal on social media and conventional media should be taken into consideration when dealing with people who face both body image dissatisfaction and eating disorders, because social media formats do tend to have a part in this. So, in our text, Our Body, Ourselves, they state that we internalize the message that as women, we will be defined by our looks and our size, not by our character, smarts, or accomplishments. And this is what happens on social media when appearance comparison occurs. This is kind of what the article is trying to get at, because when women tend to see each other on social media, they're comparing each other as far as their looks. Why don't I look like her? Or why do I look a certain way and that woman doesn't? And I don't think people really take into consideration that, on social media you do use filters and things like that. So there's this kind of image that's perceived on social media. And, women are not really looking at like, oh, look at what they accomplished, or oh, look at what they're doing. And instead, we're just looking at our image and comparing ourselves to either women we know on social media or famous women. And this is kind of what the book is stating, along with what the article itself was trying to prove and get at. So, all of our articles did focus on how media imaging affects women and their body image ideals. Two of our articles out of the three did specifically focus on some sort of social media platform, one being Instagram, the other one being Facebook. And two of the articles did show that African American women experience less body oppression and reported less internalization of the thin and attractive ideals of appearance portrayed by the media compared to women of other ethnicities. And I do believe that all three of the articles kind of give a good range of the different ethnicities. And then the articles all had some form of how women want to meet this thin ideal because of the media. And then all the articles did focus on women, because studies show that women did tend to be more affected by media and influence kind of how they see their body. Although men can also be affected by this, but it generally tends to affect women more. And then all the articles did also have a good age range, like demographic, to show how body image ideals can affect women of all ages, because from the three articles, I believe the youngest was 14 in one of them, and the oldest in another article was 46. So we do see that it doesn't just affect younger women or older women, it can affect women from all age ranges. We have come up with 5 questions. Question number 1. What does increased internalization of North American ideals of appearance predict? The answer is A. Negative attitudes toward older adults independent of ethnicity. Question number 2 is, which group of women reported significantly less internalization of the thin and attractive ideals of appearance portrayed by the media? The answer is A. African American. Question number 3. What are some ways women attempt to self-correct their bodies to achieve their perceived ideal body? The answer is D. All of the above, which are plastic surgery, cosmetic surgery, and losing weight. Question number 4. As women, what kind of message do we internalize? The answer is C. We internalize that we will be defined by our looks and size. Question number 5. What can appearance comparison in social media most likely lead to? The answer is D, both A and C, which are body image dissatisfaction and eating disorders.